All right. Thank you guys for joining the Shalisa Experience. I got another good one for y'all today, but this is going to be my actual second panel for 2020. This one is a subject that we need to be talking about foremost, especially for this year, is protecting Black women. We need to be talking about protecting them in the workplace, in relationships, and also in healthcare environments. Today I have with me Ms. Debra Cole, Mr. Ellis, Ms. Shemeika
Yup.
Pitts, Mecca Campbell, and Winston Draper. So I'm going to get started. Let me get, first of all, the first thing I do want to discuss, because there's a beginning to everything. Why and where do you think it starts with Black women not being protected? For example, me personally, I think it just starts with our mindset and the things that we are exposed to. What I will say, sometimes there's a condition aspect in the home, whereas the father will protect the daughter. He'll give her all kind of free game, all kind of knowledge or whatever, but he will disrespect the mother. So there's like, you know, I'm telling you that you shouldn't take this off a dude. You shouldn't do this. You should do this and you should do that. But at the same time, the way that I'm treating your mother doesn't coincide with that. So then when I go outside of the house, now I have, well, I'm not his daughter. I'm his girlfriend. And this is how I supposed to be treated because this is how my father treated me. So, and I know some of y'all have girls. So Ellis, I'm gonna start with you. Like in that situation, like where do you think it starts, especially with girls?
You know, with me having girls, man, I'm real big on how you treat your woman at home. So you made you saying that, man, because they definitely looking at that, because I already actually my oldest daughter came home, you know, and I met a boyfriend for the first time, real cool cat. And I let him know on the cool, hey, and for this bullshit, because she's seen me treat her a certain way, and you know, and that goes a long way. But I have a daughter here that's 16. She's my stepdaughter, but she seen me treat her mother a certain way all the time. So she has a real good feel on how she's supposed to be treated when a guy approaches her or takes her out. She done matured a whole lot, so she know I'm no nonsense. But it definitely starts at the house, man. You know, and I've always been taught, you know, I was raised by my grandmother, you know what I mean? I was raised, you know, by my mom too, but primarily by my grandmother. So I've always respected women, man. You know, and just always, you know, I love women, period, especially Black women. What up, Black women? What up, Black women? Let me just put that out. I love our sisters. I think I know thinking that y'all the backbone of this country to me. You know, just a woman, period. You know, just having that respect, period, man. It goes a long way. It goes a long way. Make sure I treat my daughter. You try to take up. At first you want to take your daughter out on dates. You want to make sure you open the doors for women. I've even seen certain women. I know you. I know Shalise. You are so independent. I done seen women sometimes that's not used to a man open the door for them. You go to open the door, you be like, man, where the hell you going? You like, oh, you open the door? Oh, you open the door? Oh, that's what you're doing? Okay, you know what I mean? So that I was raised.
I'll wait. You know? I'll wait.
Yeah. And one of my daughters, and when I do that, she's like, my bad, Dad. You know, I'm gonna make sure I wait for you to come open the door, because I want them to let them know, hey. And if a dude's sitting in the car, are you pumping your gas? Get rid of his ass.
Yep.
If he's sitting his ass in the car, I seen that the other day, man. I almost yanked this son of a bitch out of. Because I'm here. Okay. Yeah, I almost yanked this son of a bitch out of his damn car. Because I seen that, man. Because I just wasn't raised like that. My old man had a part in my life as well, man. And that it just goes a long way, man. You made I appreciate you even asking me that. But when you having girls, man, because you want your daughter to date somebody like you per se. I got nervous as hell because my daughter started dating a Libra, which I'm a Libra too. I started sweating when she called me. I was like, oh shit. Lord have mercy, not another damn Libra. No, sir. But he cool. He good people. He Muslim. He Muslim, but he still eat pork, so he all right with me.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah, he can come to the
I love
barbecue.
y'all.
He can come to the barbecue.
Yeah, he come to barbecue. I ain't just eating no beef here. I need you to go eat some of this pork.
Yeah, go get them pork ribs. Yeah.
Yeah, I need you to go eat a whole pork sandwich. Eat a whole pork sandwich in the name of Allah. Yeah.
You going to hell.
Okay. You know I'm gonna be shit when you put me on here.
And Mr. Winston, you just let me say your name backwards and then say that I appreciate
Draper.
you. I'm gonna say it right.
No problem.
And your point of view, I'm sorry.
Well, I have daughters too. I have a 17-year-old daughter, and I have a 7-year-old daughter. And so I think it definitely starts at the house. You know, I watched how my father treated my mother. You know, there weren't any other females besides my mother in the house. It was just me and my little brother. So
yeah,
I was able to kind of just see, you know, how my dad treated my mother. And so that kind of, you know, that's really stuck with me. I saw how my grandfather treated my grandmother. And so they were never forgotten about, you know, and it was a matter of if she cooked dinner, you know, that night before, then he was the one cooking breakfast the next morning, you know. So it was definitely a teamwork type of atmosphere that I grew up on, that I saw from my grandmother and that I experienced from my dad and my mom. So when it comes to now with my own family, it's, you know, I try to be very intentional about, you know, what my daughter sees, making sure that, you know, I do my part around the house, you know, whether that be, you know, doing dishes. I hate doing dishes because it was my chores when I was younger. So I still do them, but it was, yeah, I couldn't stand them. And so, but it's also the little things that I try to teach my daughters is, I mean, something as simple as if we're walking, you know, down the street, you go stand on the inside of me, you know, and I've taught my daughter, my 17-year-old daughter that I said, you know, you in high school now, I know you're probably going to start dating. I said, if y'all are walking down the sidewalk or, you know, somewhere in the mall and you're on the outside of him, you leave and you go the other way and you going back home. Okay. I said, that's what you need to do. I said, because it's those types of little things that sets you apart, you know, that sets men apart, and that, you know, and that you women notice that, you know, those little types of things that, you know, that we've been raised with, that we try to instill in our daughters, you know, and I do it with my sons too. You know, I tell them, I said, hey, if you're taking a young lady out, you know, you don't drive up to a house and honk the horn, man. You get out and go knock on the door. You know, you get out, go knock on the door, regardless if his daddy is 6'7", 245 pounds, and he is scary, looking like top flight security. You still go knock on the door and make yourself known. You know, that man will respect you and feel more comfortable with you taking his daughter out if you were to sit out and honk at the horn. You know, so fortunately, I haven't been raised in an atmosphere where any woman that's been in my life has been forgotten. You know, not all the way down from my aunts, my grandmother on both sides, my mom. You know, I haven't seen that, and I thank God for it, because as I got older, I have experienced from my friends that type of situation. So I've seen what it's like for them to get out of the car. You know, we all going out, they get out the car, man, and they just kind of just dart off and just kind of leave their woman behind, you know, and she has this look of defeat on her face, you know, and I'm like, man, you good? You know, so I think that it's the little things that men have to control in their homes, and then it's going to trickle down into the next generation.
Yeah, because I remember, especially dating, I let people give me the excuse, because I was like, well, he didn't do this, or he doesn't open doors, or he doesn't do, you know, stuff like that. And I'm like, well, you kind of being old fashioned. Or I was like, okay, well, maybe I'm being old fashioned. Or, you know, was he raised with, you know, his daddy in the house, or just by his mama? And I was like, what difference does it make? Like, I mean, but honestly, it does. But when you get to a certain age, that's why I feel like even if you're a single parent, you still have to let your daughters and sons be exposed to male figures, because positive male figures, because it means so much in their process. Because I remember I was we had been dating maybe like 3 months. And he gets out, he was doing it, opening the doors and stuff like that. He gets out the car one day, we going to the movies, and I stayed in the car. And he's looking back, and he just kept going, like, I ain't finna open the door. Oh, okay, so I just laid on the horn, just, and he was like, why are you laying on my horn like that? You finna open this door. But I got to the point where, like, I'm not about to make you. I'm not about to make you keep doing this. So you have to have your boundaries. You teach them boundaries and limitations and everything too. So they take that in different aspects, not just relationships. Now, my ladies with boys, how are you teaching them how to treat the women? So I'm gonna start with Shemeika.
Well, yeah, it's interesting because I have a just turned 18-year-old son. And so his father and I divorced when he was about 7. And so it's been him and I, like, since then. His dad is in his life, but could be more. And so I just pretty much taught my son, you treat a young lady how you would want to see someone treat me, your grandmother, your aunties, your cousins. I'm like, you're not going to be disrespectful. You hold the door open. He's been pumping my gas since he could hold the handle, because that's what I taught him to do. Those types of things. Take off your hat. You don't use foul language around women. Just like all kinds of things like that, because I didn't want him to just be one of these like little can I say niggas? I didn't want him to be
Everybody, this show is uncensored. This is
all right. Cool.
I got y'all.
You know what? At least for asking. We said the word nigga. You just said it.
Not to whisper it like what nobody gonna hear it. Can I say
Nigga. But who you whispering to?
I know, right, girl? This is the thing. I don't know. But I had to teach him, because I was like, Wesley, the one thing that you have to understand is, like, when you go out as a young man, you not only represent me as your mom, you represent your dad's family with your last name, you represent all of us. So I want you to behave like we taught you something. I want you to behave like a respectable young man. And so I just, like, as he got, with the different ages, it was different things. Like, we even had the conversation about, what do you do if you were at school and one of your friend girls is on her cycle and she has an accident? Don't join in if people are trying to make fun of her. If you have a jacket, you can just walk up to her. Here's my jacket, like, tied around your waist. You can keep it. You know what I'm saying? Do you need me to go ask somebody anything? So just trying to teach him to respect women and young women the way he would want to see somebody respect me, And so that's just been just like big in our house since he was a little boy. And it's just really like to see him now. He's 18. So we kind of, how 18-year-old boys do, but he's so respectful. He's a very respectful and just like a really, really, really good young man.
Yeah, that's just teenagers, period.
Yeah.
I got one in college and one in elementary school, so I look like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde sometimes. So, because with the oldest one, we kind of like, when you have kids young, you kind of grow up together. So I talk to her different than I talk to the little one, but the little one, they don't get to see each other often. So when they're together, the little one tries to take advantage of her and stuff. So they get to arguing and stuff. I was like, dude, she's like, why are you arguing with a kid? And she was just like, oh, she just got me so frustrated and blah, blah, blah. And they get to talking or whatever. And I'm like, and I have to check the little one. I'm like, okay, stop. You can't, you acting like a brat. And then I have to get over here to the oldest one. Stop letting up punk you. You gonna stop. You got to put your foot down. I'm getting tired of looking at this. Y'all getting on my nerve. And now Miss Mecca.
Hi. I have a 19-year-old son. My son just turned 19 like 4 days ago, and he is in college. Thank you. He is a second-year student in North Texas, and he does have a girlfriend that he dated throughout the summer. Interestingly, Nicholas, I never had to talk to him really about relationships. We never really talked about interacting with the relationships. I think that if you make it a habit, what I did with my kids, I made it a habit that you consider other people, that you respect other people, and that they see people respect me. He and his father and I were not together, but he never saw his dad raise his voice at me. He never heard me talk negative about his dad. So with that being said, it was more like, it was a habit. It's like, if you teach a person a habit, I didn't allow my kids to be selfish or to mistreat people, because those kinds of things, if you don't instill those values, you could talk all you want to about the right things to do in certain situations, but they're always going to retreat back to what is inside of you. My grandmother used to always say, anything you practice, you're going to perfect. So when I watched him do things even growing up, if I saw him do something that may have just generally come natural to him, you know, like somebody come over, whether it be, you know, I'm the oldest, my mom was 15 when she had me. So by me being the oldest and my mom being the oldest and both of us being young, all of the kids came up under me and my kids. So like my kids were the oldest as well. So they always had opportunities to be around like their little cousins, because a lot of people used to come over to our house all the time. And so with that being said, I used to always pay attention, you know, to what was going on. If I overheard somebody having a conversation, you in there talking about it's not mine or you're not being fair, I didn't just allow that behavior. I checked it every time. It was a lot, but I'm really proud of the young man that he is today, because now him treating the young woman that is in his life with respect. Like I noticed that whenever he used to walk her to the car when she used to come over in the summer, I didn't have to tell him, Nicholas, walk her to the car and make sure she's in the car safely before you come in the house and close the door. Even though, you know, I've experienced that with grown men, you know, in my own personal life, but I was grateful to see it in him, and it kind of developed a kind of a leadership mentality in everywhere he went. You know what I'm saying? And he also encouraged others just to stop and be considerate of other people. And I think sometimes that's the part that we kind of miss, you know, things kind of being out of place. I didn't let his little sisters, I mean, his older sisters, I have 2 daughters that are older. And, you know, I got the middle one that's a fighter. And I used to tell her, you know, if I would hear her, because she's real strong like me, and I would hear her and they're telling him things. And I would call her and I say, look, Ashley, you know, you're a strong person. I know you love your brother, but if you talk crazy to him, talk down to him, belittle him, then you're going to be ready to fight when he go out and select a woman that is like that. So even though Nicholas was the youngest, I didn't let his sisters, you know what I'm saying, disrespect him or anybody. Teachers, I didn't let nobody talk down to him. I made him know every single day who he was, you know, so the people, so I ever had a teacher once, you know, one of the kids let me know that the teacher was calling him La La Land, because in the beginning of when Nicholas was very young, I had a better job and I was able to send him to a really nice school, like a college preparatory school. And they had them on a high level. So by the time I had to put him back in elementary, he was kind of ahead of the other kids. They was in there talking about yellow, blue, and green. Nicholas was already writing his name in cursive. So the teacher, because I know she had to start out on an even keel, she didn't necessarily hold Nicholas's interest, because the environment he had come from, where he started, you know, just required him a lot more. You know, they were reading and doing a lot of other things. So she used to call him La La Land. And the kids made me aware of this when I went to the school. And so I just kind of pulled her to the side and I said, listen, you know, his name is Nicholas, and you can call him baby, you can call him king, you can call him Mr. Durham. You could call him anything that is going to be lifting him up, you know, but we got to understand that, like in these schools, we got so many of these female principals, and you got female teachers that are dominating the school. So you hear people and you hear a lot of men that they say, oh, well, you know, you got men that prefer to go to another race or something like that and date women, and you're like, what's their issue with Black women? And we don't never put the responsibility back on the Black women that they have been exposed to, and that you can be in a school and it's 90% of the faculty is all women. And we got our boys coming up under this, so they got somebody talking crazy to them, belittle them all the time, and they're outnumbered. So I used to always try to make sure that I paid close attention to those types of things too, because those are the things that people think are harmless that are really detrimental. You know, those sponging years, those years where you growing up and you figuring out who you are, and you got somebody talking to you like you nothing. Well, you can't get something from nothing. So you got to start with making sure they know that there's something, and they know to do the right thing in all times and stick to it. You know what I'm saying? It's hard when you're raising kids. But I told my daughter, I said, you know, she turned 16. She was upset with me all the time about stuff. And I told her, I said, listen, we're not supposed to like the same things right now, because you're 16 and I'm 30 something, whatever I was at that time. I said, but I promise you, you know what I'm saying? If you just stick with me, when you get grown, we're going to be good. And now they grown and we good. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of times people don't want to go through that. We be tired. We don't want to be really bothered with that part of having to do the same thing over and over again. And then we compromise, and then we get the result out of it that we wasn't necessarily look for. But you get nothing without putting it in. So I'm proud that it wasn't always easy, you know, especially doing it by myself, but instilling those values in him he applies the same values to everything. You know, everything that he does, he applies the same values and he ends up being successful with it. So it encourages him to keep doing it.
All right. And Miss Cole?
Yes, I'm feeling old. Y'all saying y'all children are this age. My youngest is 21 years old. My son is 21. My daughter is 23. And I agree with everything that everyone has been saying. And that was just really my point, is that we have to teach our boys, because a lot of times we're hard on girls. Like, I was very hard on my daughter, strict, can't do this, can't do that, but then a little bit lax when I was married. We were a little bit lax with my son. Oh, you can go stay out a little bit long. You know, our daughter, no, you need to be home at this time. We were really, you know, strict on them. So I feel like a lot of times, and that's how my parents were with me. Like, I could go to a football game, but I need to come straight home. I couldn't go to the after this and this and that, you know, go eat or something like that. So I sort of kept that cycle going. But I think it's very important that we talk to the guys, because like you said, Shalisa, you know, you have grown men who don't know. So once you let them know, me being newly into the dating scene, and when guys are 40 plus and they don't know, I try to let them know what my expectations are. And then if they feel like they can't live up to that standard, then that's when we disconnect. So I think it's very important to definitely make sure that the guys have that foundation, even with emotional support. You know, we can't just, you know, punch our sons in the chest and like, thug up, you know, don't cry, you know, and then that breeds other things when they get into relationships, because they can't be vulnerable with somebody because they have those fears that, you know, a man is not supposed to cry, I'm supposed to be strong. So that's where I think the start is the start is with our men, so that way they can know and respect women as they're growing up. I think you did a marvelous job, Mecca, saying, you know, just cultivating that concept with your son, just making sure like, hey, the teachers are going to respect them, the sisters are going to respect him. So he expects that. So when somebody goes outside of that, then he's going to be like, nah, that's not cool. So I think that's where the start is. I mean, because the guys, we want y'all to be leaders. We support y'all. We want to, you know, be there for you. We're going to be down for you. We're going to ride till the wheels fall off, but y'all got to be the leaders. So we got to raise the leaders too. So that's my perspective.
Because we definitely have to be more diligent, especially as far as what our girls see, what they hear, and how they interpret it. Because you always want to speak, you know, positive things to them. You always want to let them know that you're there to protect them. But one thing I do want to stress is, especially like I've said with my girls, I never, because I will feel like I failed as a parent if I let them walk out this house with a false sense of security. Because just because a man is not supposed to hit you does not mean he won't hit you. So don't ever aggravate or, you know, or put your hands on anybody. You know, it's not right for them to hit you, but please understand that everybody ain't raised the same way, and they might do it, and that snowballs into a whole nother situation. Because then I find somebody, then your daddy gonna be mad, and he got to go find them, and you know, whoever get them first, then I'm gonna be mad if he get them first, and I might want to do something to him, you know, all because you decide not to keep your hands to yourself. So
yeah, and that's something that I told my daughter also when she was starting to date and see guys and be like, I just want to hit him upside the head. I'm like, no, you don't, because if he hit you upside your head, it's gonna be problems. So definitely we gotta let the girls know that
we on our way. No, I'm sorry. I said, well, I'm on my way.
So we definitely got to let the girls know that there's no, you know, reason for anybody to put their hands on anybody. Like, keep your hands to yourself. You don't want to cause any kind of problems, and you don't want to instigate anything either. You don't want to think that if I hit you, they're not gonna hit you back.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for saying that. Y'all, you know, all of y'all have said the same thing, you know, about provoking a man, you know, and I appreciate that. And I know there are a lot of other guys that appreciate that because, you know, even speaking as a man, even the calmest man still has a breaking point. Even the calmest man still has buttons. He still has triggers, you know. And so for you all to be, you know, teaching that, you know, that aspect, hey, you know, no, he's not supposed to hit you. No man is ever supposed to hit a woman under any circumstance. But don't push that man to that point. You know, don't hit his triggers. You know what triggers him. Don't intentionally get those triggers. Yeah, there's going to be disagreements and everything like that, but don't fight unfair. You know, so I appreciate, you know, y'all speaking on that and actually saying, you know, we teach and we advocate for don't push a man to that point. So I just want to say thank you for saying that. You know, my mama said the same thing to me. She said, I know your daddy gets mad. I know when he gets mad. I know when he's upset. Yeah, we have disagreements, but I will never push him to the point of where it gets to where he feels like he has to get physical with me.
Yeah.
He will never get to the point to where he's going to disrespect me by calling her out of her name or anything like that. So I think that is a huge, huge, huge thing that continues to need to be discussed with both sides.
And that's another thing too, because when you I just have girls, but I have, you know, my nephew. And so with him, especially like growing up, you know, when the girls like it, they want to hit you, you know, and all that stuff. And, you know, he coming home with like scratches and all that stuff. And my sister had to stop me. I was like, boy, if you don't shake this little girl, just don't hit her, just shake her real good. Just shake it till the eyeballs mess up or something. And she was like, stop telling him that. He gonna really go and do it for real. And I was like, I'm just messing with her. She was like, don't tell him that. Now, but I had to watch myself because a lot of people, just like I said, it's the condition thing. Well, don't hit, you know, don't let, you know, no man's supposed to hit you or whatever. But then I go and tell my nephew, just knock her out. You know, you can't do that. You know, you can't tell them, you know, be one way and be the other. You have to, hey, you never hit a woman. So now I tell them, like, you have to learn how to fight. Use your words. So you know when you're getting upset. Ain't nothing wrong with walking away. Ain't nothing wrong with walking away. I promise you. But sometimes, like I say, I tell people, you kind of get that sense because even sometimes when the conversation gets emotional and stuff like that, you kind of know when it's about to take that turn. You know when you're about to take that turn. So at least stop yourself. You know, it's kind of like when when I tell people, because I never understood how people could just get so drunk. I can feel my buzz coming on. I know when, okay, that's it. Yeah,
I'm good.
It's time to kick it. I can't drink no more because I'm ready to kick it. You know, I can move around, I can dance, I can, you know, I'm having a good time. But I know if I take that last one, I'm out. You know, I'm gonna, you know, get the bubble guts. I'm gonna have to go home. So everybody else getting out, you know, I'm getting fucked up. I'm finna go do this. I just can't get to that point where because I've had friends to get drunk and stuff like that. I can't pick. I see back in the day, I was like a good 115. I ain't picking your ass up. I had one homegirl, I literally drug her by her feet. Like, dog, I'm gonna do. Like, you like 150. Like, I can't do it.
You said drug her by her
so it's like, feet. We had, like, last day was like, you got to get her out of here. And I'm like, y'all security, y'all just can't leave her on the front door for me. I can put her in the car. So security picked up and put it at the front door. He was like, she yours now? I'm like, the car right there, you can't just put it in the car. Nah, that's a liability. I'm like, all right. She told me, why my back all scratched up and all this? No, it was a rough night.
It's called Ciroc.
Yeah. It was a rough night for you. It was a rough night for you. Yeah. But like I said, you know when you get to those, you know when you get to those points, and you know when you get to your stopping point. So just let it go. Like just walk away. That's why I tell people, like, if you know it's like it's gonna be a tough conversation, and you know that you're upset, cool off before you have that conversation with that person. Just do those small steps, those little things to de-escalate the situation before, you know, it gets started. Whatever. And if you see like this, if you know you got a girlfriend or whatever, and she like to hit and stuff like that, just go with somebody else. Yeah, go with somebody else. Yeah, it's happening now. It's too much happening now to black men, black women. Just leave them alone, because that's nothing but trouble. But you're not all away from death. So
yeah, I've left relationships like that, man. Because it take a lot for me to get hot, be a hothead. I done punched holes in doors. I done punched holes in walls, man. And I know I didn't need no relationship like that. You know what I mean? My mama was like, and if you that type of chick, I know some chicks like that love to fight in their relationships. I'm like, fuck no, this is not Mike Tyson and Holyfield in this goddamn relationship. We are not gonna be doing this bullshit. First of all, I'm not gonna be sitting here putting on boxing gloves before I bring my ass in the house. I don't do drama like that. I be my motherfucking self. I just don't. I don't do drama like that. I hate it. A dude wound up hitting my mom years ago because my mom was trying to chase the dude that was chasing my sister. I had seen the dude before all this shit went down. I was like, look, we're fucking with my sister. You know how she is. Y'all arguing and shit. Leave each other alone. Mama tried to stop the fight, man. He messed around, hit my mom in the face. She had 2 black eyes. And my mama told me not to even go after this dude. I said, I tell you what. I said, if I don't see him, I won't kill him. I ain't never told the story to nobody. I said, if I don't see him, I won't kill him. And I didn't talk. My mom had to make me talk to my sister again after that shit. Cause I wasn't fucking with her. Cause I was like, man, you should have left this nigga alone. Cause he wasn't no fucking good. So just fast forward years later, you wind up getting shot. Now you got to wear a colostomy bag for the rest of his life. Crazy.
Sometimes you got to sit back and let people enter into, stop people from their karma.
Yeah.
Because you might have tapped him real good, but life hit him, give him that good old 2-piece and a pepper, You might have gave him the 2-piece, but he needed that pepper.
Hey, I was gonna hit that book. I was gonna hit that something with some slugs. Y'all gonna be putting some money on my books.
See, but the life gave him the Popeyes biscuit to choke on. Couldn't have gave him that.
But no water.
No.
Oh, I ain't had a Popeyes biscuit in I don't know how long. Like that is death.
Yeah.
That is a weapon of mass destruction. I kept one time. I said I might need to hit somebody.
They don't put no moisturizer off in that biscuit. No moisturizer.
I was like, y'all don't put no butter on this no more. Like, what are y'all doing?
They just say the biscuits already come frozen. Like, I'm just gonna put these bitches under the heat lamp. Under the heat lamp.
This tastes like
defrosted room temp.
Hey, this tastes like the struggle.
No, it ain't. Our bread was soft. That ain't syrup sandwich bread. I don't know where that came from.
Hey, them booty ends of the bread you really don't want.
And you know what? I think even with talking about these relationships, a lot of times when we're in these relationships, it's because we have that little sliver of hope that we're going to be able to help change that person. And I know, speaking as a woman, we're nurturers, we're kind, and we can't change anybody. And vice versa. If a guy's in that situation, don't think you can change her. Like, you can't do it. That person has to do the work themselves. And I think that's the main thing, because we like, man, they do this all right, but then all this other stuff. So you really got to evaluate that and be like, you know what, if I didn't have this person in my life, would I be happier? And if the answer is yes, then you need to eliminate that, because that's not obviously a toxic relationship if y'all doing all that fighting and arguing. Of course you're going to have disagreements with somebody, but getting physical and then verbal abuse is also real. So we can't discredit that. But if we're in those situations, we can't think, oh, I need to change this person. I can help change them. I'm going to stick it out for the long haul. And I think we got to stop glorifying the struggle. I got it out the mud. We've been down since like.
Yeah. Because Black women have to understand that you don't have to, stuff doesn't have to be, one of my friends had to teach me that, because our dads, took care of our moms financially, took care of the kids, stuff like that. But the marriage relationship was not good. And for a long time, I was like, I am not getting married. I'm going to live my life. I'm going to just have this, what it's going to be, but I am not getting married, because I don't want to go through go through so much rough stuff, just to, then maybe 15, 16 years later, then we're normal, but we're not necessarily that happy, romantic that we could have been. You're going to have rough patches and things like that. You got times where you don't like each other and you're going to get on each other's nerves, but that is a gradual process. I'm not going arguing 10, 15 years with somebody, and it's just not healthy. So, and she had to teach me that, like, it doesn't have to be rough. Don't go into it thinking it has to be rough. You have to experience going through relationships. Well, a relationship is a commitment. And you never commit to anybody until, I tell people this all the time, do not commit to anybody until you have seen how they act when they are angry, when they are have a traumatic experience. Now, they're not necessarily always going to have like traumatic experience, but number one, you have to see how they are when they're angry. If you see them lash out at somebody or be physical with somebody when they get angry. Huh?
I said, in Dallas traffic, are they skirting people off? Are they like, B, get out the way? Are they?
Yep.
Better go on a road trip and see how this person be acting.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, just how they react, how they act with their friends or their family, because I've seen some people be very disrespectful to their family members. And I'm just like, and I'm looking at them like, yeah, this ain't gonna work. And then you wonder why you haven't seen me. I ain't seen you in a minute. I took you around my family and all. Yeah. We worked out the dysfunctions in my family and we good. So yeah, I got a lot of work to do. I don't want no parts of it. I'm good. So, but yeah, we have to stop glorifying the struggle and thinking it's okay to, basically your measurement of loyalty is how much, mess you can take off of somebody. And that's male and female. That's not, if anything, that's ignorance. I don't know any better. I don't know myself enough because I've given this person everything, basically to toy with, to use to their advantage, so you have to, really kind of sit and let people marinate, kind of sit back and see how they act. Oh, and I want this to be my boyfriend, well, you mine, and blah, blah, blah. That sounds cute. But when you really get into it, like, it's been sometimes I'm sitting up here in the middle of the night thinking how I can poison you and get away with it. Like, I got rat poison and a good insurance policy. So.
Be careful with me. When Cardi said that, be careful with me.
Trying to figure out how I can crush it up. That blue knee high and that rat poison about the same color.
Actually, that's interesting that you. It's interesting that you say that you first had your first mindset that you did not want to be married, because it was the opposite for me. I could not wait to be married. As a matter of fact, my kids that I had, because I was like I wanted what I seen my grandparents had. You know what I'm saying? But that was when I got the rude awakening that everybody just haven't been raised to know what the structure and how relationships really come together. It's like the strength that we have, the strength that we need to have up under control that makes stuff go the way that it's supposed to go. It's so many times that is such a missing element when it comes to families. And unfortunately, in the African American family, it's so much worse. We are not taught to trust our men. We are not taught to allow them to lead us in the families. We think that provision, we taught about provision. If he just take care of you, and the thing about it is, a lot of people talk, you hear a lot of people, everybody got their different reasons, whatnot, when they bring up like Adam and Eve. And when they talk about how Eve, you know what I'm saying, she was the one that was deceived. And also she was the one who actually talked Adam into doing it. You have a lot of people that have a different, perception of how that happened or why it happened. And when I was a little girl, I did too. I had a totally different perception of it than I have as an adult woman. And after seeing men in my family grow up and have families, like 85% of the women in my family are married. They married or they're single. Nobody is like out here just doing nothing outside of they either single with their reading glasses and their books and crossword puzzles and wine, or they got a husband, they got a family. And most of the women in my family have been married to one man their whole life. Like my aunties in their 60s and 70s, they just celebrating 50-year anniversaries and stuff. I mean, we done this several times in our family. But I'm grateful that I had the opportunity, even though I haven't had the privilege of being able to do that in a relationship. I'm grateful because I have peace with the relationships that I've been in, because it was kind of the same thing like it was with my son. I didn't see my grandmother, do a bunch of back talking to my grandfather. She was not like up under, he didn't have like his foot on her neck, but she trusted her husband. You know what I'm saying? She trusted him to where even if he wasn't right about something, she trusted that by trusting him, she was also honoring God, who gave the command for us to trust. And when I'm talking about like Adam and Eve, I feel like the reason why that Adam was able to be talked into, because men are not confrontational. Like, for whatever reason, God made them that way. They don't like to argue. They don't like a bunch of chatter or whatever. Men go to the store 9 times out of 10. You have everybody got their different things, so I can't speak for all men. But in my life, I know even with my son would be like, if he know I'm finna go to Walmart, he's gonna be like, Mom, I'm staying in the car. Because I can go to Walmart, supposed to be going for some sugar, and I can be in there for 2 hours, like literally. But my son, if I know if he go to the store, or my dad go to the store, my dad going right for what he came for and going right back out the store. So we built different in that regard. And I think that it was for good reason. I think that where we dropped the ball is that women, and this is just not Black women, but I see it more in Black women. I see in successful marriages, let me put it this way. I see in successful marriages, I see women trusting their husband, and everybody know she's smarter than him. She's quicker than him. She can think of things quicker. But the blessing that's over that household, because they operating in order, is what eliminate a lot of issues that people face that they don't realize. Like a lot of times women think that by thinking they're going to tell their husband what to do, instruct him on how to do everything, that they're making the household better. But only what you do for God is going to last. So when you do things out of order and you try to make it happen your own way, you actually set yourself back, because everybody don't always have to know everything that you know. I feel very comfortable in the fact of knowing for a fact that the relationships that I've been in later on when it's over with, because another reason why people I think have a hard time letting go in relationships, because they done a whole lot of stuff that they feeling regretful. So they know about all the shit they did. They know about all the shit that they said. So now what they want is the relationship not to end, so they can have an opportunity to undo that. And a lot of times you see people and they mad and they bitter, but they mad at themselves because of the things that they did. They talk themselves right up out of a relationship. They talk themselves right up out of a marriage. So I have always been the type of person that I'm going to be me, irregardless to what it is that you are or you not. Because if you're my man, I let you be in my life. I ask you for something. If I see you doing something, I'm not going to be out there. My grandmother would be in the house doing her own thing. That's exactly how I am. Now, I done had people tell me, well, I'm out here. If I'm out here doing your yard, you should be out here helping me. Why should I be out there helping you? I don't want no desire. You should be wanting to come in the house. And when I come in the house, it's 2 things: smelling like rose and the kid smelling like fried chicken. So at the end of the day, we try to balance things out, and then we wonder, these days we want to be equal to a man. But then other days we want to be, oh, you're supposed to not hit me if I hit you. You're supposed to take care of me. You're supposed to protect me. But when a man is a lot of times trying to come into our life and trying to talk to us about things, I've seen this over and over, we don't necessarily want to receive it. We gotta take him through this. You gotta have this. I'm not gonna have. You are making up your mind about what it is that you want, and basically, you shouldn't even get to the point where it's no fighting, because everybody should be real enough to know this is not the last man on earth. This is not the last woman on earth. And if we not vibing from the beginning, it's not for us to try to force it to vibe, or me to think I'm going to remake this man, or this man is going to remake this woman. We need to get back to having the faith that whoever it is that is for me can't fit well with nobody but me. A lot of times we miss what's really for us, because tired of trying to form something that let know 28 hours into it that it wasn't nothing to work with. But we so stubborn into thinking that if we don't do this, then we're not going to have anything. And that's where the devil hold us up. So now this other person who had a mission, who showed up on time for their appointment, they caught all up with somebody else. You'd be surprised at the amount of women that's having an affair with their husband because he married somebody he ain't had no business marrying, because you wasn't available. And so now you back here, on the backside doing some other stuff, all because you still think that you're supposed to run it. Like, just because you have the power don't mean you're supposed to do it. And I think we set ourselves back because
Now, I do want to
You know what I'm
stress,
saying? We don't want to trust. We don't want to stop and say, maybe he know what's best. You know, we don't want to never believe.
Yeah, one thing I do want to stress though, especially with being submissive, I don't want anybody, especially our Black women, to get that twisted. Yes, the man is the head of the household, it's the woman, and then that's just God, the man, the woman, that's the umbrella. But I do want everybody, especially our Black women, to understand it is okay to be submissive. It's not a dirty word, but your voice still needs to be heard in your marriage. Not in a disrespect, but the delivery is everything. The delivery is everything. Because if I respect you enough to let you lead, then even if we have some issues or something like that, I need you to understand. I need you to validate how I'm feeling. Don't tell me how I feel, how you think I feel.
Yeah.
Validate, you got to validate, because the woman, like the Bible says, the woman is the helper. She's the weaker vessel. Treat her as such. Don't treat her like she's dumb, but treat her as the weaker vessel. You got to come at her gently. That it just is what it is, because a lot of people don't realize it's the prayers of that woman that's keeping that house together. So when you decide to leave your marriage or go cheat or something like that, and all this bad stuff is happening to you because you no longer have that blessing that was right next to you. So you got to learn that the communication is everything. So like I want like especially Black women to understand it's okay for your voice to be heard, but the delivery makes the big difference, because so many of us have, well, he gonna know what I say and he gonna know that, but just don't be disrespectful about it. That's not, there's no purpose in getting married if there's no progress. Yeah. So if you was like this before and you ain't changing, or you gonna change back to something else, or you just basically, giving them that representative, just don't do it.
Yeah.
There's other ways to make money. They got OnlyFans and stuff, so you get,
Hey,
I know it's so
fact that you is that Mecca? I want to call her Juanita Brown.
You know what? You better leave my girl alone. I done seen some of your hats. Hey, girl, I'm gonna mute him. What was you finna say, Shemeika?
It's so interesting, like just kind of going back to what you were saying and what Mecca was saying too. Like, I go to the Potter's house and Bishop did a wonderful sermon on it, him and his wife, called Model Houses. It's on YouTube. And when it comes to the whole submission thing, it's like one of those deals. I think that we as women get upset with it because men have to understand what it means. And the way Bishop broke it down is, it's like, men, you can't expect a woman to submit to you if you don't have a mission for your life first. So it's like, and what you were saying, Mecca, too, it's like, you're with somebody because you want to be with somebody, but you're not with the person that you're supposed to be with because you haven't taken the time to really understand who you are. And so that's where the conflict comes in. And when it comes to like protecting us in those situations, it's like, okay, we can't expect a man to value us if he doesn't even value himself enough to have a mission for his life. You see what I'm saying? So like if you're dating a man and you're like, okay, well, where do you see yourself in the next couple of years? Well, like, shit, I don't know. I'm just going to go with the flow and I'm going to see what it do. It's like, sir, that like, you're not the one for me because you're going to want me to get into this relationship and submit. But to you, that means cook and clean. That doesn't mean that this is the goal that we want to have for our life. So like, take for instance, like for us in my relationship, our goal is we want to create generational wealth for kids that we may have. And then for my son that I have, and just for people who come after us. We've talked about how do we want to do this? We want to do this in real estate. So the first step is we're going to get this house here. Then the next step is we're going to get other properties in other places. And then what you're going to do is you're going to get your real estate license, and then we're going to do insurance. So you know what I'm saying? He has a mission for his life. I fit into that mission so we can work together and I can submit to that because he's leading us somewhere that's not off of a cliff. You see what I'm saying? And so it's like one of those deals, like with my mom, even like what you were saying, Mecca, a lot of people aren't really, they understand the principles of God because most of us as, Blacks, we are raised in church. And so like my mom has always told me, even if you're not married, if you do things in order, your house is going to be blessed. You see what I'm saying? So it's that thing of who do you value as a man? Because he's not going to protect us in any kind of way, emotionally, financially, as a family, in any kind of way, if he doesn't see the value in his life first, to be able to see the value that a woman could bring to his life. You know, you got dudes to be more mad if they get
take all that. I receive all that, except for the part about having more babies.
Okay, not the kids part, but you know,
yeah. I receive all that except for them having the babies. I could, yeah.